And happy Monday to you. Welcome to the official McCoy podcast. I'm Jelani McCoy. He is
JR Tolver.
JR Tover. And this is the official McCoy podcast, like I said, brought to you by No Coast and the good people at Officialize. Let's start it off. How was your weekend?
It was good, man. It was good. What did I do this weekend? Just hung out with the kids, man. Kind of took it easy a little bit.
Yeah, that seems to be the common theme with both of us.
Absolutely.
Is to hang out with the kids over the weekends.
Got to do it. Got to do it.
Did you do anything special this weekend, or you kind of just took the weekend off and did nothing?
Man, took the weekend off and did nothing. First time we've done that in a long time.
Yeah.
Felt great.
Yeah. We did pretty much. Oh, we kind of did nothing. We went to Dave and Buster's. That was kind of brainless activity for my son's birthday. And yesterday we got to go to Seaport Village. When's the last time you've been to Seaport Village?
Oh man, it's been I think I went last spring of 2017.
Okay.
So I had some friends in town from Jersey.
Same thing.
So we took them down to Seaport Village.
Same thing. Yeah. A lot of locals don't go to Seaport
I know.
Village. I know. Yeah.
It's a kid's paradise though, Seaport Village.
And
as a parent too, I mean, when I take my kids down there, I enjoy it as well. Cause
what
like
do you enjoy about Seaport Village, JR?
Man, just the sights and the food and the people watching.
It's fantastic.
That's probably the best
it's at
thing,
a high
right?
level. Yeah. And I didn't realize how massive the carriers were.
Oh yeah.
Down there.
Oh
the
yeah.
Destroyer,
yeah.
whatever carriers, destroy whatever they
Yeah.
may be. You forget how massive those things are if they got planes taken off of it. It
Yeah,
makes
things
sense.
are huge.
Yeah. So yeah, that was cool. The food is whatever. You know what I mean? I kind of killed my K-Cal count for the ride. I immediately dived in at like 2 cupcakes.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Right off the bat.
That's
There's too many
Right.
smells and popcorns and gummies hanging around, so I had to go in and get 2 cupcakes immediately. Let's get to it. The world of sports we got going on today. We're going to talk about, let's start off with old tweets resurfacing and damaging athletes now. That seems to be the common thing going on. Old tweets resurfacing, a lot of bigotry, ignorance, chauvinistic ways being portrayed in our athletes while in their youth.
Right.
So and we talked about we can't stop acting like a lot of this stuff is new. So we didn't have Twitter back in the day. Thank God.
Yeah, for sure.
You know what I mean? Because some of the homies would have been up against it. You know what I mean? The way some of the things come out of our mouths.
Absolutely.
But a couple of the athletes, and I'm glad. A couple of, because Riley Cooper started this whole thing off a long time ago, and then ended up getting the bag and getting paid and getting able to reinventing himself with the Eagles. So it happened to Josh Allen, Trey Turner, Josh Hader. Ironically, the ironic. That's what we're gonna do. He's definitely is the HATER of this version. Let's talk a little bit about the tweets catching up with everybody.
You know, it's crazy, man. So I was looking at this, and one of the guys who got pulled off as far as like the tweet was concerned made this tweet when he was 15 years old, 16 years old, right?
Yeah.
So this is a 9 or 10-year-old tweet. Right. And I think as kids, right, you're an athlete, so you're always under the microscope, but it just gets bigger, you know, when you go through college and you go to pros. So things start getting magnified in a way that they didn't get magnified when you were a kid, right? But I look at this and I say, kids these days, they have to be taught now that what they put out there will live forever.
Yes.
Right? It will live forever.
Yes.
So a lot of the apologies were, I didn't mean anything by it. I was young then.
Would they apologize if they never got caught?
So this is my point, right?
Yeah.
I was young then. I didn't mean anything by it. It doesn't reflect who I am as a person, right? All the stuff that we're saying as a 25-year-old, looking back to what we said when we were a 15-year-old. But to your point, right? This stuff doesn't come from anywhere.
Right.
And if you're an athlete, you know you're going to be under that microscope.
Right.
Don't expose yourself.
Twitter was out. You do know Twitter is a platform that the world uses. It wasn't like Twitter was a new thing when you made those.
But here's the thing with kids, though. They don't get the magnitude of their actions when they're acting. It takes you to be older to really understand how what you do really affects you long term, right?
JR, but even though when Twitter wasn't, we didn't have Twitter back in the day. But in my 9 years prior to being 25, or however the way that he missed,
right,
I didn't make said statements about any race, color, creed, shape, size, even in a form when it couldn't be on a digital platform. You know what I mean? I just didn't put that out in the universe.
Right.
So I get he's like, that's not a good representation of the man I am today. And I made so many turns and pivots from that time. But we're still talking about, like you said, we said it needs to start young.
Yeah.
So clearly something with what's going on with this track record is starting young with these old men. I would respect that statement if you turn right around and beat us to it. You know what I mean? And like, he know that tweet was out there.
Right.
Dudes who be making tweets, you know when your stuff is out there, everybody knows when their digital hygiene is there, what loose tweets they made, what loose posts they do, you know what I mean? Everybody reviews their posts to do whatever. I would respect it more if he would have beat us to it and been like, you know what, there's with today's social media out here, and like once you click it's on, I like to nip this in the bud. And I made a tweet 9 years ago that was ignorant. And it was the environment that I in, or it was my upbringing, and I don't believe in any of that stuff. Now it's kind of too late. Now we caught you. You know what I'm saying? Now you got money.
So it feels phony, right? It feels phony when you go back and say, "Oh, that's not who I am.
Yeah.
I was a kid."
Yeah,
I totally understand. I agree with you on that for sure.
Yeah. What if a black athlete, and it's probably gonna come out.
Yeah,
it may come out. What if a black athlete is talking about? And excuse my French, you know what I mean? It's not really a French word, but, what if they were using derogatory words about Caucasians,
right.
about Latinos, about women, you know what I mean? About their own people, you know what I mean? The N-word, you know what I mean? Whatever it is, what if it's light skin, black skin, you know what I mean? That's going to come out, and that's going to be more damaging than it is for another white athlete. I'm sorry, it is what it is. It's hard for us. They get a slap on the hand. We get, Cam Newton.
Yeah.
Riley Cooper is caught on camera saying, I'll fight every N-word in here.
Right.
Gets a job. Cam Newton realizes he's talking to a woman in a press conference, has like a little moment where she's actually giving him some football knowledge. He's like, oh, okay. I didn't expect that. I didn't even expect that.
Yeah.
They shut him down.
Yeah,
he lost to Dan. In comes Whack Prescott, who we'll get to later. You know what I mean? All of a sudden, Cam Newton was a bad man. Every time I check on Cam Newton, he either working on his craft, hanging out with kids, donating something, or taking his family on vacation somewhere.
Yeah.
So, you know what I mean? Where is the go back and forth? Okay, it was out there. It was 9 years ago. You know what I mean? Cam Newton's business is out there when he was stealing laptops, right? They tried to take him down when he was stealing laptops and doing whatever he did, but he never released no ignorant tweets.
Yeah, there's definitely a double standard here, right? A standard that I think that if we acknowledge that it's there, then it's the ability to kind of work from that, right?
Yeah.
But I don't necessarily know, and this is just playing devil's advocate, if Rashad Penny, right, let's talk about first-round draft pick of the Seattle Seahawks, and we were to find some old tweets about, what Rashad said about, let's say it was somebody gay, right, or had a gay tweet or a homophobic tweet or whatever it was. I don't necessarily think he's going to be held to a higher standard or to the fire of some of these other guys that we're talking about that came up this weekend, right? Because I really think that it's more of a cultural thing from an athlete standpoint than it is like who said what. I really do.
Yeah.
I really do.
Okay.
That's why I think that the start of this is for these kids at 13, 14, 15 years old to understand, to be taught that whatever it is, look, when I was 7 years old, I wanted to be a professional football player.
Right.
I didn't know I was going to become a professional football player, but if that's my goal, I need to understand the platform that I'm striving for, therefore not do certain things that the 13-year-old sitting behind me in class would do because he's not on the same trajectory that I'm trying to be on, right?
Yeah.
And that's where I think that this needs to be, we talk about nipping it in the bud, these high school coaches, these AAU coaches need to start having very poignant conversations with kids under their care and say, look, if you want to be in the NBA or NFL or MLB and you're going to be on social media, this stuff starts right now. Watch what you say. Because if you're going to make it there, it's just going to get peeled back up at some point if you put something out there that's whack.
It's the elephant in the room, and I love the fact that we both got the the hand, the ghost piano, the Mozart.
Following,
we putting that together.
Train there.
Yeah. It helps sometimes.
It does help.
You know what I mean? If you need to do that, don't be ashamed of yourself. If people used to say, "You talk with your hands." Yeah, I'm trying to keep my deal together.
Trying to keep it organized here.
Yeah. But I agree, it's the elephant in the room
for sure,
and it needs to be addressed. It can't just be. You must. Well, some people say you must destroy before you create, but you need to at least agitate.
Absolutely.
Right?
Absolutely.
You got to agitate. Truly what you're supposed to do when you put the sugar in the bottom of your tea or coffee, you're supposed to agitate the surface.
Absolutely.
You don't really stir it.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Because then it really doesn't work out. It's still at the bottom. You know what I mean? You get this little bit of sugar in your straw. So like it's that's it at the end of the day. So if the straw is the world and what the young kids are digesting, they're getting a little bit of sugar at the end of the day, but there's still a lot of knowledge and a lot of sweet stuff for the brain left at the surface. And if we don't that's how you sift for gold.
Right.
You put your little dirt in there, and you 49er, right? You Jerry Rice and Joe Montana and Steve Young and Tom Rathon and Brent Jones and Deion Sanders and Merton Hanks and
going into the archives then. Going into the archives then. You forgot Roger Craig though.
I did forget Roger Craig.
You
can't forget High Step and Roger. You know what I mean? But anyway, you slip and you find your goals. So you got to agitate the surface.
Absolutely.
You can't just keep putting a bubble around kids and not talking about
100%.
And at the end of the day, it's facts. We're just talking about facts.
It is what it is. Yeah,
it is what it is.
It is what it is.
It is what it is. But they got to get the. So stay your ass off Twitter. Get your Twitter thumbs together. We talk about digital hygiene here at Officialize, you know what I mean, working with athletes and their social media platforms.
Right.
I talk about it when I mentor athletes. I try to practice it the best I can, you know what I mean? So you got to get your digital hygiene together. If you're going to be out here working out in this space, you know what I mean, just know, you know what I mean, that it's going to come up. And they weren't ahead of it, you know what I mean? And hopefully they didn't get too blindsided, but hopefully they did about their actions because I think one thing happened to a guy in the middle of a game. He's about to have a no-hitter,
right? 2
outs, you know what I mean? 1 out from one out or one pitch away from a no-hitter, and racist tweets come up. That's kind of dope. Now that I think about it.
Yeah.
That's kind of dope.
No, it is. And I think for you, digital hygiene is probably the best way to put it. And if you're a coach, you're teaching these kids how to dribble. You're teaching them how to run. You're teaching them how to lift.
Yes.
You better teach them how to make sure that the digital hygiene is what it's supposed to be as well. Because it's going to be a huge part of whether they do or don't become what they're trying to.
You want to impress some youths? If that tweet was coming up in the middle of the game and he was 2 outs or 1 out away from a no-hitter, pull his ass. Bet you the whole world pay attention then. You know what I mean? I don't know what's going on where they at in the standings, but if you want to make a standing in the world, and you know what I mean, and get something going,
put a stamp
brand on this thing. And, you know
you're right.
Or pull him until we get all the facts. You know what I mean? Pull his ass.
Yeah.
That's the best thing. We earn the field. We earn the court. We're supposed to earn that.
Absolutely.
Through hard work and your dedication and your service.
On and off the field, right?
On and off the field.
Yeah.
So you can't let them hide on the field and experience joy for being ignorant. Ignorance is dangerous.
Yeah. To say the least.
It's in 2018 right now. You know, it used to be in the 90s.
But it's not an excuse anymore, right?
Yeah.
So like ignorance is bliss. That used to be the saying when we grew up, right?
Yeah.
But now it's like there's no reason to be ignorant. I mean, at the palm of your hand, you can find out an answer to anything you want to find an answer to. So you don't get a pass for being ignorant. No. You don't get a pass for not knowing, right?
Not when you got a smartphone in your hand.
Absolutely.
You can get woke.
Yeah, you better wake up.
You can get woke real quick.
100%.
Get you a 15-minute session every day, getting some information that you didn't know about yourself, your culture, what's going on in America, finance. Get woke.
Yeah.
You just out here sheepling, and I ain't with it. Let's move on to another. Speaking of that, and I'm not going to I won't do that transition because that would have been was a very next topic is what we talked about last week. Let's talk about the history and mental health in sports right now. You know what I mean? We talked about it on a couple episodes, or only last episode or whatever episode, because we talked about how this wasn't a new thing in sports. You know what I mean? And we left each other. We said we're going to come up with some examples of the history of mental health in sports and how this isn't a new thing and how it's the elephant in the room situation, refusing to agitate or bring forth the facts. These are just facts. You know what I mean? Did you take some time over the weekend? Were there any athletes or situations that came to mind? Warning signs, flashing yellow lights, big-ass red lights.
Right.
You know what I mean? Because as I sat and thought about this since we had last week podcast, I thought about, man, so many different ways that it's permeated this way in sports, from college to the professional ranks, from hockey to soccer to football. You know what I mean? Some things that we just didn't understand, but everybody knew those things were out, and some of those people were looked out as, what do they call it? Eccentric.
Yeah.
Right?
Like a Ricky Williams, right?
Eccentric.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Exactly. That name comes to mind. San Diego guy. No, Rick grew up a Rick. Always been cool and positive. But when you're gonna try to put him in a box, which is someone that Ricky Williams actually hates, you know what I mean? He always wanted to be much more than a football player. Anyway, but talk to me about some athletes that come to mind.
So I thought about this a lot since we last talked about it, right? And I think my goal always is to understand the big picture.
Yep.
In order to get to the core of a problem, you gotta reverse engineer it.
You
right?
do.
So I say, okay, look, what is an athlete's DNA, right?
Yeah.
And I come up with 3 things, right? So the first thing I think is, as an athlete, we give until we have nothing left. Think
That's
about
the thing,
that,
right?
Like if you're on the court, you're on the field, you just keep giving, right? You give of your body, you give until you have nothing left. But this health thing is really kind of threefold, right? It's physical, it's financial, and it's mental, right? So if you're the type of person that just continues to give until you have nothing left,
oh, here you go.
I think you start looking at the mental health side, and that starts making sense.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
The second thing I thought of is we literally work for the support of others. So think about this, right? When you go into a game, you got 10,000 people, 50,000 people, 500 people.
Fanatics.
You are out there playing for those cheers.
You are.
Right? For them.
For their enjoyment, for the city, putting on for the city, whatever it is. Yep.
We say we aren't.
Yep.
But the fact of the matter is we get paid more emotionally by those cheers than we do by that paycheck. Because you played for a long time without getting paid.
You did.
It's the cheers that really fulfill you.
Yeah,
right?
It's a drug.
It's a drug.
Yeah.
So now that you know you're working for the support of others, and then I think the last one is we internalize pressure. We have to.
Yes.
Right?
Good point.
So from an athlete standpoint, when you watch guys blow up like a John McEnroe or somebody be very outwardly emotional,
right?
There's criticism that comes with that.
Oh, it's almost frowned upon.
100%. So what do? We internalize it.
Yeah. That's
right?
no bueno.
We thrive on the pressure because it makes us better. It makes us do things that we wouldn't have done without it.
Yes.
But we also internalize it, right?
And that's debilitating at the end of the day, JR.
And all of that, to me, funnels into mental health.
Yes.
Like, think about it. Like, if you put yourself in a position where all you do is give until you don't have anything left, you're constantly trying to please the people that support you.
Live for the man next to you.
Live for the man next to you.
Think of the guy next to you.
100%.
You know what I mean? Give him his all. He's going to die for you. But nobody want to die out here, man.
But look, that stuff just doesn't stop with the court, right? Then that's why guys go broke.
Yeah.
It's not because they're stupid. It's because we're used to just giving until we have nothing left and supporting people or wanting to be supported. So we do what we have to do to support those around us, right? And then internalizing that pressure. Like Junior Seau, my teammate in Miami.
My mentor, rest in peace.
I know Junior was such a giving person that I am just convinced that the moment that led to him doing what he did is because of the internalizing of the pressures that he felt in a bunch of aspects of his life that nobody knew about, that he never communicated with anybody about, and then it overcame.
Still giving
until the
last minute. Still
Absolutely.
Giving until the last minute. Not wanting to bother his family. Not wanting to scare professionals that have been through some of the things that Junior has, either on the field and off the field.
Yep.
You know what I mean? And still to the very last moment, not even in a morbid sense, but to leave here in a tragic way, but still having the wherewithal and the fortitude to give and leave his brain intact so it can be researched and they can start finding out information on what's going on.
Absolutely.
So I love that. That's a very good point. We are conditioned to give to the next man, give to your coaches, give to the community, give to your family's name, who you represent on the name
Absolutely.
On your back. It's always give, right? It's always a thing of service and thinking it's militarized.
100%. 100%.
Now that I think about
do it for everybody else, right? Do it
for the flag, for your country.
And then you look up and you're on the outside looking in.
Yeah.
And all those people that you helped, they ain't there no more.
They ain't
right?
doing for you.
And now you're left to figure it out for yourself. Right. And I think that's one of the downfalls of sports is we teach guys how to be good on the court. We teach guys how to get stronger, how to get faster. We don't teach guys the other two things, right? Which is how to stay healthy physically, how to stay healthy financially, and ultimately how to stay healthy mentally, right? So everything that's input into me as an athlete is to make me a better athlete on and off the field, right? But the output is reflected by that input. I think that there has to start being some attention paid to
check in.
Healthiness.
Yep.
On the mental side, the physical side, and the financial side to make that guy or gal, right, a more holistic person.
Yeah, and that's really, he's just with the holistic.
Holistic.
Was it the yoga over here? Was it the yoga pose? The yoga pose or pill? About you doing the holistic renditions. Yeah. I like it. Yes, you got to check in every third of this thing.
Check in.
The mental health, right? You know what I mean? The mental health leads to the financial literacy, leads to the taking care of the body,
Absolutely.
right? Because you got to have mental health to know that you need to take care of your money. You got to have money to know you get to take care of your body, to eat the good food, to get the masseuse, you know what I mean? To take care of, just take care of your life. It costs money.
It costs money.
It does.
But it's an investment.
In yourself,
Absolutely.
in your soul, and your babies, and your wife, and you being the best you. You got to be the best version of you. And when I think of mental health in these situations, there certainly have been so many occasions within the NBA, a lot of mental. I mean, they try to. This isn't the case that I was thinking of, but they tried to play Mahmoud Abdul Rauf like he would have mental health issues when he had Tourette's and he had super bad OCD. You know what I mean? When he was twitching and cussing out in the meetings, and they couldn't figure that out. They said he was eccentric, and that's not the way that he was. He had a condition that they didn't know about. I played with a friend of mine that was on the Seattle Supersonics. That was the first person to go on to the what do you call that? Injured reserve for narcolepsy or for sleep deprivation.
Shit.
Because he'd just be up for days. You know what I mean? He'd be playing great. Then he'd go for like 2 or 3 weeks where he wouldn't be playing well at all because he wouldn't sleep for days. You know what I mean? And that's a form of torture at the end of the day. You know, not sleeping. You know what I mean? They waterboard and do ill shit to people. You know what I mean? For our country, so to speak. And one of those things is sleep deprivation. So that's a sidebar. But one of the things, and it's a football player I love because he was one of my football players, a lot like Roger Craig, wore the same number, Lawrence Phillips. If you ever get a chance, you watch the 30 for 30 on Lawrence Phillips?
I did.
That was one of my favorite 30 for 30s. Turns out at the end of the day, Lawrence Phillips was damn near a genius who they tried to pencil in as a simpleton. What else would drive somebody crazy who is testing as a genius than you trying to pencil him as a simpleton? Right? And you go to Nebraska, and we all know the culture in Nebraska, what the information, this is just facts. We don't have to talk about them on the podcast. You know, look up the Nebraska football. There's been several incidents of what the culture was going on up and down in Nebraska, from steroids to expunging criminal records and to sweeping the records, you know, things going on. You know, Tom Osborne got up out of there before the whole thing blew up on him, took a political seat. But, you know what I mean, Nebraska's still suffering until this day because of what went on. And just had an opportunity to run into Lawrence Phillips a couple times in Los Angeles. Definitely a different type of dude. Dynamic individual, big time personality. But the Lawrence Phillips I saw was always smiling. When he
like Rashad Salam, right?
Always smiling.
Always smiling.
Ricky Williams, always smiling.
Always smiling.
Always, you know what I'm saying, always down for the babies, and not no funny style way either. You know what I'm saying, just present.
For sure.
You know what I mean? Those dudes, it's a good balance, and that's a damn shame. because it's those guys that provide balance for athletes that are considered to be a certain kind of way, eccentric, socially awkward, but those are the guys who directly, you know what I mean, who affect the kids in a major way.
Yeah.
So it's ironic how you can be looked at in that type of way, but at the end of the day, you're in charge with bringing, you know what I mean, you're ushering the new yous and the new babies of the world.
Yeah, and I think it's, like you said, it's just that lack of balance, right? So,
yeah.
So some of the people you talked about adding to that list, right, you know, Junior Seau,
yeah.
Ray Caruth.
Oh,
right?
Ray.
Like I take that to a mental health, just a pressure situation of not knowing how to handle a problem based off of just not being taught. Right?
Yeah.
Josh Gordon, we talked about him.
Yeah,
shout outs and big ups to Flash, because I think what he's doing is he's resetting how teams approach athletes when it comes to the mental health.
I got a whiff of they tried to play Flash a little bit.
Did you?
I got it. I could have been wrong.
No, tell me.
I was just, you know, you watch a little NFL Live or whatever, you know what I mean, and it's these damn reporters, right?
They want to spin it.
They want that. It's a softball underhand. If they can get it in there, you know what I mean, they'll slide it in there. But it was like, that's why I don't really listen. I love ESPN. We were raised on ESPN, but I don't really. I'm tired of looking at little dudes and never play sports. So I respect you got your journalist degree.
Right.
You went and did the discipline of the school and everything, but don't come in here talking sports and you just played on your little B team. You know what I mean? At the end of the day, there's always somebody in a development stage, whether trainer or whatever it is, or journalist or whatever, but you can only talk so far if you ain't done this, JR.
Oh, yeah, 100%.
It's not just me. We try to be humble and encompassing and be an advocate for our sports, and you know what I mean, try to be a beacon for our sports, but at the end of the day, it's like, okay, that's enough now.
Yeah, I mean, prospectively, yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Like if you've never done it, if you've never lived it,
yes,
it's going to be hard to be able to scratch between, you know, the layer 7 and layer 8.
Yeah.
If you've never, like you said, you've never lived it before.
If you never lived it, yeah. Anything else on mental health and sports you want to touch on?
I was just thinking about like those guys, right? You know, I think about Ryan Leaf.
Yeah.
You know, he was one of the guys that came in. Obviously, when he left the league, he had a substance abuse problem.
Right.
I think that goes back to, once again, we always focus on the physical. We don't necessarily focus on the financial or the mental. And then what that does is the lack of balance and the focus of how we are growing athletes.
Yeah.
It turns it into a house of cards.
Okay,
right?
so JR, how much of this is environment? Ryan Leaf, I heard stories at the Palouse, how they get down in Washington State. I've been to College Station. I've seen where they hang out at night. I've seen their bar scene. We know what happens party-wise as big as some of the SEC schools and Big Ten schools, you know what I mean? So how much is their environment? Every college kid gets to go experience college the way they do, smoke, drink, take tab, whatever they're doing now, take your Molly, Percocet, whatever little combination it is that they're doing is almost about to kill their ass, but they don't have to go and play on ESPN or put up with the schedule and have to risk their body, you know what I mean, or trailer at the end of the day. So how much is this in the environment? When do we start attacking the environments that these kids are spending a lot of time in the big time developmental stages?
It goes back to what you're saying, agitate the surface, right?
Right.
If I'm a coach, if I'm Nick Saban, and all I do from January to December is talk football, I'm failing.
You won. You're gonna win.
I'm gonna win.
You're gonna win.
Right? I'm gonna win on the scoreboard, but I'm failing because it is my response. It's like a preacher, right?
Yeah.
It's my responsibility as a coach to turn this young man, into a good father, into a good husband, into a good citizen.
Yeah.
If I don't want to own that responsibility, I shouldn't be coaching.
You shouldn't.
Right?
You shouldn't.
So agitate the surface, right? Get a kid out of his comfort zone. Have people that come in and talk about financial health. Have people that come in that talk about, meditation. Have people that come in that talk about these other things that complement the on the court.
Corporate is doing it.
Corporate wellness is huge right now.
They're going out to Tahiti and Bali just to do yoga on the beach. They're doing fantasy camps. You know what I mean? So of course, the people who are leading the economic side of what we're driving in this country, you know what I mean? Why are we leaving the athletes behind?
agitate the surface.
You got to agitate the surface.
I that's another shirt for us, right? We got a couple of shirts that are coming out of this podcast
a sifter
here.
Or an agitator, yeah.
But agitate the surface, right? Make people think about things that they haven't thought about before, so that they can then respond to it or ignore it.
But then you got to have the environment right, because you can't go get a jewel, you know what I mean, or be working on bars every day and get to the studio and the MP3 ain't up, or, you know, the 808 ain't knocking on the track. You know what I'm saying? You come in there, we working on bars all day, then we get to the studio and the drum machine down.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? It's all about
the environment has to be right.
It has to.
But who creates the environment, right? Like, let's go back to the core of this. For real. Who creates the environment?
The players.
You think so?
I mean, the coaches modify it to what their old annuals and what their coaches teach them, all the old schools, the Parcells and whatever you went to and whoever you was up under, your coordinator, they're all the same systems modified for the next generation's personality, right? I sit up under so-and-so for a couple of years. I got this whole database of the spread or whatever offense it is in baseball or football.
Right.
Then there's another dude who communicates better with the players because the old dude is burnt out, doesn't get them. Right, then it just starts going from tier to tier. And maybe it goes to another team. Now you got like that Patriots West. They got the Spurs East and West from the different coaches going from the different conferences. So they just update themselves from the different coaches. The players create the environment, right? You got player coaches, teams. What do? They let the players police themselves. Seattle Seahawks. Carroll give a same rah-rah speech. I heard Brandon.
It's a problem, though, because you don't know what you don't know, right?
True.
Like, if I tell my kids 5, 4, and 2, all right, you guys tell me what you want to eat.
Right.
My kids are going to say, we want candy, we want cookies,
okay, well,
we want McDonald's, right? But at some point, I got to step in as the influencer.
You check in at the third. Yeah, okay. I like that.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I like the fact that y'all hungry. Y'all got different options, but that's garbage.
Right.
That's going to make your teeth fall out.
Right.
This is going to have certain effects on your body. Here are some healthy options. Now you coaching.
And they're going to listen to me because I'm their dad.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
I think that players are also, regardless of who they are, where they come from, we all look up to our coach.
You're supposed to be a father figure. That's what they sell you before you go to college. I'm going to be his dad.
So you got to be a dad then. You got to care about all three sides of me.
Do.
And if you're not attacking all three of those sides to me, you are 100% doing me a disservice. You mentioned Bill Parcells. He was my coach when I was in Dallas.
Yeah.
There's one thing that I remember from Bill because he said it on a weekly basis, right? Nothing good happens after midnight and nothing good happens in the strip club. Now, did I not go to the strip club? Did I not stay out after midnight?
Yeah.
But it was just that thought, right? It's still something that I think about every day because outside of football, right, make good decisions and understand if you're out after midnight, bad stuff happens.
It can.
If you're in the strip club, bad stuff happens.
It can.
Now, you make a decision, do what you want to do, but I'm going to make sure that I'm agitating the surface so that when you do that, you're going to think about it. I think that coaches need to continue to agitate the surface on levels that kids just aren't thinking about.
How did he know that bad stuff happens after midnight? He had LT.
Oh, yeah. That's a whole nother podcast.
They control the environment. They set the environment. If LT is hyped up there off that fresh driven snow out there getting 15 sacks, he's creating the environment, right? So now everybody's like,
LT could do it. Yeah.
Well, let me holler at your man. You got that number, LT?
Yeah.
Let me holler at your man.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
If
that's a good point.
Jose Canseco is mastered the pop. He had his master. Jose wasn't flipping out, punching water coolers, or he wasn't beating. Well, we don't know for sure, but out in the field, he was just playing baseball. Right. Now, Mark McGuire. Now, a couple of the other, that was the culture that they created. Now, Tony La Russa could be like, we need to go get some dudes that are not juicing because the inner core versus juicing. So we need to go get some square Tonys around this to make it look like, you know what I mean, everything is just above board. You know what I mean? So he's checking in at every third. You know what I mean? It's going around the league. He's seeing it's going around the league. He's seeing it's working for him. He's making sure that it doesn't permeate too much throughout the culture. He's checking in at every third. Then at the end, but sometimes it's too late.
Right.
Now it's Mark They hitting 50, 60 home runs. We won a World Series. Now it's too late.
It's too late.
Right. Now Tony La Russa goes to another team, hands it off to another guy who was under him. It's a little pattern.
Yeah.
It's a little pattern. Staying with football, you know what I mean? Since we're on football, football was our original topic. Dak Prescott. Whack Prescott. Whack Prescott for this segment. Whack Prescott goes on and looks like the good company man, and Jerry Jones is good old quarterback. He's a new version. He's Black Tony Romo. He's up there talking about he can't kneel for the flag, and it's not the proper place to be kneeling for the flag. And if somebody's about some action, then holler at him. If not, you know what I mean, then he's not going to be kneeling or making any type of statement for the flag. You got anything to say about Whack Prescott?
What is the point of doing that? Like that's the I think Malcolm Jenkins, he had a great interview this weekend. Mm-hmm. He said, listen, people are attacking us for using our platform to bring issue to an issue, right? Why is that? Listen, we do it all the time. We bring attention to breast cancer.
Every month.
We have a whole month where we're wearing
jerseys
pink, and we're using our platform to bring attention to an issue, right? The other thing that we did with the whole domestic violence thing, we used our platform to bring an issue or attention to an issue. Now, why all of a sudden
LBGT, whatever that is, that whole movement, they got down with that.
100%. Brendan Iambadejo, one of my boys, UCLA, won a title with the Ravens, was my teammate in Miami, has been at the forefront of advocating for the LGBTQ
for
community.
A long time, before it was even a thing.
100%.
Yeah, at such peril to himself. I remember I went to school at the same time as him, and I remember it was some grumblings about, you know what I mean, what his sexual preference was and what skin did he have in this the LBGT game. But what does it matter?
What does it matter? He used his platform to bring attention to an issue.
Yeah.
And nobody had a problem with it, right? No. So now all of a sudden, and this is what Malcolm Jenkins was saying, and I think that this is a great point. Why do we have such a problem with it now that we are using our platform to bring an issue to what we see as social injustice?
Right.
We're not using our platform to bring an issue to something that, or attention to something that we don't believe it. Like
y'all said y'all didn't want us pushing cannabis. We fell back, even though it's legal in a couple states, you know what I mean, and on the ballot in a couple more. And if some of these people reside in these states where it is legal, they didn't want everybody pushing cannabis, so everybody fell back. A lot of people still hide their usage. Right. You know what I mean, knowing damn well that, you know, how they get down, but I get it. You know what I mean? A lot of people still hide their usage, and that's a good thing to do at itself, because sometimes for some people in the cannabis space, it still is a sacrament, and their business shouldn't be out in the street. It's a holy moment for themselves. You know what I mean? For some people, it's recreational and it calms them down, and it's better than smoking and drinking. You know, I get that, but guys fell back. You know what I mean? If you're savvy enough to watch your favorite players, you do know that they enjoy cannabis at their off time. The pictures they like, the things that they reference, the music that they go to, it leaves a trail. But like I said, aside from a few, everybody fell back for a minute. Oh, maybe it's not so safe, even though it is legal. So like you said, it is an issue, but we can't stick up for the issues in the community like cannabis, turning minorities and women into millionaires overnight. You know what I mean? Mental health. You know what I mean? All the issues that matter in the community that the athletes or social injustices are not. They're at the forefront in a minute till the campaign is over, till we can't sell any more mental health mugs or mental health bands. You know what I mean? Until we can't sell any more of those, then the thing kind of goes away. If we can put a dollar sign on your movement, we will until the minute it's not making money for us, it's gonna go bye-bye.
So Colin Kaepernick agitated the surface.
He did.
Right?
He's better than Whack Prescott as well.
As a player,
yeah,
that's debatable.
Okay.
I actually like Dak as a player. I think he brings a
Dak
certain
Prescott, JR. I liked him in Mississippi
I'm just
State.
saying, as a player,
yeah,
I think he brings a certain level of calmness and leadership and execution.
Agreed.
Right? Maybe a little. it's arguable. A little bit more than Colin. Colin's a little bit more
dynamic and all over the place.
Right?
Yeah.
But that being said, I really think that this agitating, there's nothing wrong with agitating the surface if you're doing it with good intent,
right?
And it ends up producing
Steph Curry
good results.
Steph Curry does it. He was talking about the
all
Under
the
Armour,
time.
talking about Trump.
They are not going to the White House because of this. We're not talking about how Steve Kerr has allowed his team not to go to the White House to accept a trophy based on the fact that they don't agree with how the White House is handling certain issues, right? They've decided not to do that, and we're not talking about that. But we continue to talk about the guys in the league who are standing up for something that they believe needs to change. Yeah. And now all of a sudden we're trying to put handcuffs on them and muzzles, right? And I think that's what causes revolution. Yes. You know what I'm saying? Like, think about that, right? When you try to muzzle something or hide something or push it under the rug, if the passion is there, that's kind of where revolution. And I think if you look at the NFL and its players, there's a revolt.
The colors are fading
there's a revolt. Yes. Right?
Yeah. The colors are fading, as my man Kanye West said on this latest album. You know what I mean? They got to rethink the lie is wearing off. You know what I mean? They got to rethink the colors, and the colors are all fading. You know what I mean? All the old adages and stuff that we talked about that, athletes subscribe to, like giving your all and the man next to you. Well, if I'm doing for the man next to me, but if y'all ain't upstairs who cutting the checks, are supposed to have our backs and our families' backs while we out here on this field or court. You know what I mean? If y'all not above board or y'all just hiding behind things, at the end of the day, there is going to be unrest, and you are going to get guys who don't care about being fine and stand up. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
They might never figure that out.
Yeah, or it's going to implode. They have to break it into 1,000 pieces before they put it back together and fix it again.
I think Wack Prescott should lose his Dannon or his yogurt deal that he took from Cam Newton.
He's so young too, man. And I look at this and I say, you got a third-year player who's
smelling himself.
But he also is getting pressure from
Jerry Jones.
Right?
Yeah.
Which as a 25, 26-year-old, to be able to feel that pressure top down. Yeah. Hey, you're the leader of this team. You're the face of this team. Yeah. This is what I believe.
This is the Dallas Cowboys.
Therefore, you believe the same thing, don't you?
And I'm going to take care of you.
Don't you? You believe the same thing.
We're going to make sure you every year we're going to make sure you're going okay. Yeah.
That's a lot of pressure.
Yeah.
That's a lot of pressure. So I don't agree with him getting up and saying, don't do this because I'm not going to do it. Yeah. I think that's terrible. I think it's whack. Right, but at the same time, I can also see the other side.
I see it.
He didn't go and do that press conference just because he woke up one day and felt it.
He didn't.
That came from somewhere.
He still whacked Prescott.
Yeah.
He whacked Prescott.
Stand for something or fall for anything.
He whacked Prescott until further notice on this platform.
Hopefully, there's a lesson to be learned. There's some growth that can happen from this. It remains to be seen.
Yeah. And I like Dak Prescott. That's why I'm so hurted on the inside.
Right.
You know what I mean? Because I've enjoyed watching this man compete in the SEC and for the Cowboys. You know what I mean? I was rooting for him to take Tony Romo's spot. Yeah. You know what I mean? But this one hurt, that whack.
A little setback.
I'm gonna get back positive on you in a minute, but for right now, I'm a fan scorned.
And this is what I love about. I know this is kind of like our next topic, but this is what I love about LeBron.
Yes.
Right? LeBron, since he's been into the league, has never shied away from things that he believes strongly about. Right?
Right.
Never.
Right.
And yes, he's the greatest player in the game. So he probably gets a little bit more flexibility than some. But this is who he's always been. Always been. So this is what I really respect about it, and I hope that other people start following suit. Yeah. Is that LeBron is about making sure that, look, he's going to score his 50, but he's also going to make sure that the community is well represented in voice and in action.
Right, because he's done so much. At this point in time, when does what LeBron has done philanthropy-wise make him the GOAT?
Ooh.
It was easier for Mike back in the day in the 90s just to play basketball and decide he wasn't going to touch on social issues while making a lot of money off of the community that were dealing with the social injustices that he so chose to ignore.
Right.
Everybody's not built for that at the end of the day. You know what I mean? We've seen athletes who didn't want that flag, that baton at the end of the day, whether it be for their monetary reason, because they weren't built like that at the end of the day, because through their experience, their color wasn't affected. They didn't experience. You can go through life sometimes and be a minority, and your skin, you know, maybe because of your environment, maybe you got some bread, you know what I mean? Maybe you're in a good Christian environment or Catholic environment, whatever it may be, and your color doesn't affect you. But for the majority of minority athletes, your color does affect you.
Yeah.
So, you know what I mean? Like LeBron James sitting and having Warren Buffett on speed dial, learning about business, growing up and going to St. Vincent St. Mary's, a Catholic, you know, a private school. He didn't let his experience of being a guy whose color could have been ignored, probably has because of his athletic ability.
Right.
He didn't let that keep him in a bubble to where he didn't want to express himself or help other people, a minority in the same situation. He opens up a whole school, a public school, not a private academy or something. He opens up a public school where what was it, second and fourth graders?
Third and fourth graders.
At risk third and fourth graders, a monumental time to be
240 of them.
To be checking in on a kid between third and fourth grade.
Oh, yeah.
It gets real weird.
Oh, yeah.
Third and fourth grade gets real weird. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
Especially in 2018. You know
Absolutely.
what I mean? I got kids going into third or third grade. So it's a development. Like you got to, I say, check in on the third. You got to check in on the third grade. You know what I mean? But it's funny with him doing all he has for being philanthropic, being at the AAU games, dunking in front of the kids, you know what I mean? People hating on him, saying he's taken away from the AAU game. I don't think so. How the hell could the best player in the world come and jump in the layup line and still looking good throwing up dunks? I would have if it would have been me, I'd have gave y'all ass a layup. A nice, good, strong
not even a power
layup. Yeah, not even a power layup. You know what I'm saying? Just a simple, just coast it, you know, trying to keep my Achilles in line.
Yep.
He's doing windmills and tossing it up to himself. The very next day, his son does the same exact throw up, catch it, windmill that LeBron always does. It was his first dunk ever. Wow. Hello, newsflash, jackasses.
Yeah.
He was jumping in the layup line to teach his son the proper line and how to get himself together so he can get that off. Mm-hmm. No coincidence that the very next day after he does this, that he ends up getting his first dunk in the layup line.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
But like I said, if you're not an athlete, if you're not an athlete, you're not raising a child in your footsteps. It's not about going out there and doing a million repetitions anymore. Like if you can show him, and you have the athletic ability to show your son in a moment, in a stressful situation, and you happen to be LeBron James, why not do that?
Impactful. It's impactful.
That's exactly what it is.
And that's the whole thing about, I think, what he does off the court. It's impactful, right?
Yes.
Like you say, as LeBron the GOAT, you can't ignore what he does off the court and the impact that it has and how it enhances what he does, you know, on the court. Like I look at Tyson and Ali, right? If we were to sit here and say, who's the greatest fighter in history, you know, who would you say?
It's a style thing. Who you like? You like somebody like a rope-a-dope? You like Mike, who just want to get it over in the first round and be scary everybody? You want to listen to Muhammad Ali chirp and, you know what I mean, beat you down mentally, and then pop, then he hit you with a two-piece in the whatever, the late round, and you fall down. It's really your style.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You're allowed different ways. You get a little platform. You get somebody you like. You know what I mean? You take a little bit of their fundamentals, and then you color it the way you do. I personally like Mike Tyson.
Okay. So here's the thing, is I also think from an athletic standpoint, there never has been anybody like Tyson.
Never.
Right? Just from a power, a style standpoint, the intimidation.
The style was no style.
There has never been anybody.
Another selfless man had some mental health issues.
Right.
Another crashing cars, giving people Rolls Royces, giving people Rolexes, have taken winnings and giving them out to people. Another selfless man was brought up, custom auto, You know what I mean? To raise, to be selfless and give back and just give all of his all. So it's the same. It's the same thing we seeing over and over again.
Absolutely, and I think that what pulls Ali into that conversation, obviously he was a fantastic fighter inside the ring.
Yep.
But he did so many things outside the ring. Used his platform to bring energy and attention and impact what was going on during his day and time. Right. And I look at this always like, now, never, later, right? Like, or now, later, never. Is what I'm doing, is it going to have an impact right now? Will it have an impact later? Or will it have an impact where I never be able to see it, but it has an impact down the road, right? And I think that this conversation about being a GOAT is also about, like, what am I doing? Is it understanding, is it going to impact it now?
Yeah.
Is it going to be a little bit later?
Yeah.
Or will it impact, but I'll never be able to see it? And I look at LeBron and I look at Ali, and I say both of these guys, great athletes, obviously some of the best that have ever done it. You can do that argument all day.
Yeah.
But if you look at what they've done off the field, outside the ring, off the court, outside the ring, that's what pushes them into the conversation of being a GOAT. And honestly, that's what keeps Michael Jordan out of a lot of conversations.
That's what I'm saying.
Right?
If we saying MJ is a GOAT, to me in 2018 on this day, if we talking about MJ as a GOAT, I'm thinking your ass talking about Michael Jackson. No, really. The impact that he made, regardless about the stories of Michael Jackson, the impact that he made about AIDS awareness, starvation, giving up. He was an athlete. Yeah. He would dance till he never danced no more. A lot of people, like, if you watch the Kobe Bryant documentary, he says he basically modeled. A lot of people think he modeled himself after MJ, but it's the wrong MJ. He actually used to talk to Michael Jackson on the phone and ask him how did he perform the same song every night that looked the same. And my favorite part of the documentary is, like, Michael Jackson told him that he literally danced till he couldn't dance anymore.
The life of an athlete, right?
How would you know? How would you know if you had a good session or if you had a good day? Yeah, I would. Do you know if I couldn't dance anymore and I would go till I couldn't dance anymore? That's when I would. And that's why you got to take propofol because his knees is shot and his hips. That's why Prince got to have something. And he's a Jehovah's Witness and ain't even supposed to be messing with no pill. But he had to have hip replacement. You just thought he was out there in the assless pants doing a split. Doing the splits on the stage, you know what I'm saying? Hitting that pretty red Corvette with a nice ass perm, you know what I mean? But you know what I mean?
More to it than that.
There's more to it than that. Nobody wants to know what goes into the sausage, you know what I mean? Everybody just wants the happy fluff at the end of the day.
No, that's a good point.
It is a good point. And we're going to not leave on a high note and say that LeBron James, right now, the GOAT is a running conversation. Tom Brady cannot be involved in the GOAT conversation, and the GOAT is an all-sport thing. It shouldn't be. It shouldn't be. Yeah,
you gonna complicate this?
I am. I'm very complex at times, and I want to be complex about this situation. I have conversations with my friends all the time. The GOAT cannot just be off your athletic prowess and the different moves and your achievements on the field or court or whatever it is that you're doing. The GOAT has to be a life thing. Greatest of all time. Greatest of all time. If we're saying greatest basketball player, that's very specific to the sport. But the GOAT tag, the very greatest of all time tag, is a sport, music, art type of thing, because they're all the same person at the end of the day. You know what I mean? Trials and tribulations has formed certain people to do some things that other humans can't. Right. Whether it be through some substances, you know what I mean? From clear to cannabis to a little bit of LSD. You know what I mean? For people to paint, you know what I mean? Paint and do these greatest creations. You mean to tell me you think somebody's just regular in their daily life that's building a glass building that twists in the middle of downtown? Yeah. People are accessing different parts of their brains, you know what I mean? So to me, in the GOAT conversations are all people who access that part of their brain. Steve Jobs. There's some filmmakers, some visionary filmmakers, some musicians who do such a thing. So to me, Michael Jordan is not in that conversation. Eddie Murphy is more in that conversation than Michael Jordan. Michael Jordan got a lot of work to do. And again, if you do your research in our beloved Michael Jordan, you will find some very interesting facts.
Yeah, facts.
Facts.
Just facts.
Just facts. And you make your own decision about the GOAT. But here today, the GOAT, as it stands on 2018, is going to get my vote. We're going to go with LeBron James.
I'm with that.
Yeah.
I'm with that. I think what LeBron is doing is I'm just happy that I'm alive at this time.
Just watch it.
To watch it.
Does LeBron look burnt out? Have you seen Mike sometimes? Mike be looking burnt out.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? In the 48 Jabos, he's still in them Jabos with the hard. He's still in them Jabos with the hard bottoms. He got garlic butter eyes, black lips. You know what I mean? LeBron's still looking like it's some vibrancy to that. I mean, he windmilling in the warm-ups at the AAU games. You know what I mean? Muhammad Ali had a profession where they took a lot of his mind away from him. So, you know what I mean? When we think of a GOAT, we don't think of him because in the back of our mind we don't see our strong king Muhammad Ali. You know what I mean? But LeBron James is the cause. So Kobe Bryant can be in the GOAT. He started to do a couple things, you know what I'm saying, off the court and, you know, on the court, and he's done some things, disruptive things from athletes to make them realize about their voice. Sometimes he don't do a lot of singing and tap dancing or putting it on billboards. He just do a cold-ass calculated move with no emotion. And that's dope, too, at the end of the day.
For sure.
So as today, the GOAT conversation will be on, Gordon. It'll be like a stock ticker. As today, I'm going to say LeBron James stock just went up 7 points.
Absolutely.
School AU dunk contest, saying the Lakers is one of the greatest things that he's ever he's always thought about being a Laker, always thought and knew it was that would be a positive end for his career. So just what he's got going on. His shoes are dope. His fashion is on point right now. He's taking care of his kids, you know what I mean? He's taking care of other people's kids. He's taking care of at-risk kids. He's still at the top of his game. He just had one of the best careers in all the minutes statistically. His stock just went up 7 points in my book.
Yeah, he's authentic too, man.
Yes.
I mean, you watch LeBron and he is who he is, right? Yeah. Like you watch him, you know, at a party, enjoying music. You watch him on the court. You watch him coaching his kids. He ain't hiding nothing. LeBron is exactly who he is, and you know, I respect the crap out of that, to be honest with you.
Yeah, and we are who we say we are.
The real.
This is what we pride ourselves in being. This would have been one of my favorite podcasts that we had. We did our due diligence with this. This has been the official McCoy podcast. JR Tover. You see him over here taking notes. He clearly was on top of his.
I got to stay on top of you, man. You be throwing some stuff out that I gotta put in my pocket and go Google later. So I'm not letting you get away with.
But I'm on the hove. I'm on the hove and the Benny, and I don't write on paper. But I'm a weirdo. I keep a lot of. It keeps me up at night. You know what I mean? Write stuff down on paper so you don't have to wake up and whiteboard in the middle of the night like I do.
You just store it all back here, huh?
Johnny Mnemonic.
But then it's got to come out.
I did it somehow. That's why we do this podcast.
I forget. That's why I got to write stuff.
We getting old. Drink more water.
Absolutely.
This is the official McCoy podcast brought to you by No Coast and Officialize. Check us out on officialize.com and across all those good podcasting platforms. It's been a pleasure. JR, anything you want to leave the people with before we sign off?
No, I think I'm good, man. Going back to what we said, I think athletes, we just got to look at it with a bigger lens. We just got to look at it with a bigger lens, and we have to identify the leverage points that make guys do what they do. Right. Make them who they are, and I put a lot of responsibility on the coach. Right. That stands in front of the player. Yeah. And I think that it's way bigger than X's and O's. I really do. And that's my takeaway is this. If you're a coach, you're coaching kids in any capacity. Yeah. Take that part seriously, because these kids are going to remember and take from what you say to them down the road, and either going to use it to make themselves better, or they're going to use it to hide deficiencies that'll catch up with them later.
That was pretty good. I forgot the hell of what I was about to say. That was so damn good. Oh, I just remembered right when you laugh. On that note, I would say this. Smart people share information.
Got to.
They don't hoard it.
Got to.
Unsuccessful people, insecure people, you know what I mean? Smart, confident people, they share information. Insecure people, not always woke. I won't say less intelligent, but not really on that level to be accepting of information. They hoard it.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So, Dak Prescott, if you got some information that you want to share with us as to why we should be standing for the anthem, please do share.
Yeah. Let us know.
Let us know.
Let us know.
Let us know. That's a good one. It's been the official McCoy podcast. Continue to support.